that title back. The Samoan Werewolf.
The bloodline is crumbling, and the war has spilled far beyond the ring. In a shocking backstage assault that left the WWE Universe stunned, Jimmy Uso, now dubbed Big Jimmy, officially cemented his alliance with the unrelenting Jacob Fatu. Together, they launched a violent, unrelenting ambush on Solo Sikoa and Jeff Cobb, sending a clear message. This is no longer a family. This is war. Steel chairs clanged, bodies crashed through crates, and the chaos echoed through the corridors of SmackDown. The betrayal is complete. Jimmy isn't just stepping out of Roman's shadow. He's burning the dynasty down from within. The Samoan Civil War has begun, and the backstage battlefield is just the beginning. The return of Jacob Fatu. A storm brewing. Jacob Fatu, the wild warrior of the family, returned like a force of nature. His very presence sent shockwaves through the locker room and backstage corridors alike. Unlike Solo, who craved control through intimidation and fear, Fatu sought respect, earned through fire, sweat, and legacy. To him, Solo's alliance with Cobb was a betrayal of everything their ancestors fought for: the sacred traditions, the honor, the blood ties that ran deeper than mere titles or power plays. When Fatu made his disdain known, the war drums began to sound. SmackDown was supposed to be a calculated message, a trap laid bare in the middle of the ring. Solo and Cobb had lured Fatu into their snare, surrounding him with malicious intent. The arena lights dimmed to a sinister glow, tension thick enough to choke the air. Blood dripped slowly from a jagged gash on Fatu's forehead, remnants of an earlier vicious assault painting a grim picture of brutality endured. But Fatu stood tall, defiant, and unbroken, embodying the spirit of a warrior who refused to bow. The resurgence of Jimmy Uso. The tide turns. But then, like a thunderclap shattering the silence, the unmistakable beat of Jimmy Uso's theme music exploded through the arena. The crowd erupted in a frenzy, their cheers filling every corner. Nobody knew what to expect. Jimmy had been absent for weeks, silent amid the chaos, his allegiance a mystery. Now he was charging down the ramp, a steel chair gripped tightly in one hand, fire blazing in his eyes as he sprinted toward the ring. Time seemed to slow for Solo and Cobb, their smug confidence faltering as they readied themselves to face what they assumed was a return to order. Jimmy standing with them to crush Fatu once and for all. They were dead wrong. With one savage, bone-rattling swing, Jimmy drove the steel chair into the back of Jeff Cobb. The sound echoed like a cannon blast, sending shockwaves through the arena. Cobb dropped to his knees, stunned and gasping for breath. Solo's expression shifted instantly from smug dominance to shocked disbelief, his grip on control slipping like sand through his fingers. But Jimmy wasn't finished. A new alliance. Jimmy and Fatu stand united. Jimmy stepped into the ring and stood shoulder to shoulder with Jacob Fatu, their eyes locking on Solo with a fierce, unspoken promise. No words were needed. The message was clear and brutal. Jimmy Uso had chosen his side. The side that stood with Fatu, the side that rejected Solo's new order and the darkness it represented. The betrayal was seismic. Years of loyalty to Roman Reigns, to the bloodline, to the very concept of family were cast aside in a single moment. Jimmy Uso was done following orders. Done being a pawn. Done being silent. This wasn't just rebellion. It was revolution. Jimmy's raw declaration. The breaking point. Jimmy grabbed a microphone, his voice raw but steady, filled with years of pain and frustration. He didn't yell or rant. He spoke like a man who had reached his breaking point. "I stood by Roman for years," he began, voice heavy with emotion. "Through every war, every betrayal, every title defense, I followed the rules. I did everything for the family." His gaze hardened, and he pointed directly at Solo. "But you brought in an outsider. You brought someone into our bloodline who has no connection to this family. You had him beat down Jacob Fatu, a man who bleeds this dynasty. You crossed the line. Tears welled in Jimmy's eyes, the weight of his words sinking into the stunned silence that fell over the arena. He reached for his bloodline necklace, the sacred symbol of heritage, honor, and tradition, and tore it from his neck. The crowd's collective gasp was audible, hearts breaking with him. Jimmy stared at the necklace for a long moment, memories flashing behind his eyes. Tag team titles, brutal War Games battles, WrestleMania nights, Roman's leadership, and the Usos standing tall beside their cousin. Then, with finality, he dropped it at Solo's feet. The sound it made striking the mat was like a thunderclap, shattering and undeniable. Chaos unleashed. Cobb's collapse and the new threat Solo looked down, not at the necklace, but at the gaping hole that had formed in the bloodline's once impenetrable facade. Fueled by rage, Jeff Cobb struggled to rise, but before he could even stand, he was met with a crushing double superkick from Jimmy and Fatu. The ring shook under the impact, Cobb collapsing unconscious, the brutal strike echoing like a war cry. Solo backed away, eyes wide with panic, his grip on power slipping further by the second. And then, the camera caught a chilling sight at ringside. Bran Breakker, arms folded, eyes burning with cold intensity. Leaning toward Solo, he whispered something inaudible but clearly sinister. Solo nodded, smirking in dark understanding. A terrifying alliance was forming, one capable of total destruction to anyone who dared stand in its way. Backstage fallout, Justo's silent struggle. Backstage, all hell broke loose. Justo, Jimmy's twin brother, watched the entire scene unfold on a backstage monitor. His face was a mosaic of confusion, heartbreak, pride, and fear. The war had finally reached his doorstep, and now he, too, had to choose a side. Roman Reigns remained missing, unseen in public or backstage for 3 days. Rumors flew like wildfire. Some said he was nursing a hidden injury. Others whispered he was silently observing as the family tore itself apart. Whatever the truth, his absence had created a dangerous power vacuum, and the bloodline was fracturing under the pressure. The mastermind behind the chaos. Paul Heyman. In the shadows, Paul Heyman worked tirelessly, whispering poisonous words into every ear he could find. Insiders say Heyman has been stoking the flames of this internal war from day one, manipulating Solo, tempting Fatu, planting seeds of doubt in Jimmy and Jay's minds. Heyman doesn't want peace. He thrives on chaos, on disorder, on the slow collapse of empires. And as the bloodline fractures, his influence grows darker and more dangerous. Secret training, calculated betrayals. The story doesn't end there. Reports now surface that Jimmy Uso and Jacob Fatu have been training in secret at the Wild Samoan Pro Wrestling Academy for weeks. This wasn't a snap decision. It was a carefully orchestrated betrayal, a long-term plan to reclaim the family's legacy from those who had corrupted it. On the opposing side, Solo Sikoa has been sharpening his edge alongside Bran Breakker, perfecting his aggression and ruthlessness. If these two factions fully align, the level of devastation they can unleash upon WWE is unlike anything seen in recent memory. The Bloodline's new battlefield. Family versus faction. The Bloodline is no longer a united family. It has become a battlefield. On one side stand Jimmy Uso and Jacob Fatu, defiant, proud, fighting for tradition and legacy. On the other stand Solo Sikoa and Jeff Cobb, ruthless, brutal, determined to reshape the dynasty in their own merciless image. And lurking in the shadows are Bran Breakker, Paul Heyman, Justo, and the missing Roman Reigns, each a key piece in a war that threatens to consume everything. Justo's moment of truth and the fans' divided loyalty. Justo was spotted backstage, frozen in place, watching the carnage on the monitor. His expression was a volatile mix of disbelief, anger, and heartbreak. Jimmy's decision might just pull him back into this war, whether he wants it or not. Meanwhile, the fans have chosen sides too. By the end of the episode, WWE's online store crashed under the weight of a massive spike in merchandise sales. Half the crowd buying gear in support of Jimmy and Fatu's rebellion, the other half rallying behind Solo Sikoa's ruthless new regime. This is no longer just a storyline. It's a civil war. The war has begun. Buckle Up insiders confirm that Jimmy Uso and Jacob Fatu have been secretly training together for weeks, orchestrating this betrayal from the shadows. Solo Sikoa sharpens his deadly edge with Bran Breakker, whose brutal style and hunger for dominance make him a terrifying partner. Jimmy didn't just betray Solo, he ignited a blood feud, a war where only one faction will remain standing. The WWE Universe stands caught in the crossfire, watching as an empire falls, or a new one rises from the ashes. The bloodline is no longer family. It is a battlefield, and this war is only just beginning.